Hello everybody, this is Plywood Cow coming at you with another world record speedrun. This time, Space Jam: A New Legacy, the game. Any percent, cardless, original difficulty, done in 17 minutes and 13 seconds. While we are not going to be using cards, I thought it was appropriate to choose the greed card. I feel like that's a good card for 2025. Good descriptor. The greed card. Now, rather than talking too deeply about the game, because frankly the cardless run is mostly just playing the game without using specials, which essentially just means we're going to play more slowly. Essentially just trying to clear house without using the strength card. You could use the health card, of course, but it appears that strength is the better card even on original. The thing is, though, all that really means is play a little bit more carefully and be careful about how you approach various boss fights, because you don't do as much damage or you don't have that backup HP. So rather than talking about this in too great detail, let's just talk about cards. Yeah, folks, let's talk about cards. When I was a kid, the game that I really wanted to play was Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I watched Yu-Gi-Oh! On the Saturday morning block on the WB. That was the 4Kids dub. And if you know anything about the 4Kids dub, it was heavily censored. It also was not really the start of the show either. There was the quote-unquote Season 0 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Where Yugi-Moto is, or Yami-Yugi, not Yugi-Moto, but Yami-Yugi is basically Jigsaw from Saw. So that's a pretty interesting start to a show. Anyways, the 4Kids dub, like, it's so censored. Rather than people dying, they go to the Shadow Realm. I believe that's part of the language change. And rather than having guns, some agents literally finger point instead, which is the greatest thing. The most threatening finger point of all time. But even though I bought the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game, I didn't really have a lot of people to play it with. Most of the kids at school did not want to play it, so maybe played it like twice with one of the kids at school. Mostly what I did was play Forbidden Memories, which was on PlayStation 1, which is not really like Yu-Gi-Oh! It's like a strange video game version of Yu-Gi-Oh! And if you play Duelist of the Roses, it has similar mechanics to Forbidden Memories. That's on PS2. Forbidden Memories is on PS1. Great spins on those nulls. Pretty good level. Now in high school, I played Magic the Gathering. Magic the Gathering, I definitely played a lot more of. Between the Xbox Live Arcade version of Magic, which they had a couple of. That was a great way to play the game just on my own. A lot of fun to be had there. But I also actually played Magic with friends. And I had a lot more fun playing Magic than Yu-Gi-Oh!, to be honest. Though getting mana flooded or mana screwed was always not the best thing in the world. Just bad luck, bad RNG. It's in multiple games, particularly card games. Though these days, Magic has gone way more promotional with like decks that are all pop culture-y. And frankly, I find that whole thing to be kind of distasteful. I mean, I understand why they do it. It makes people want to buy cards. But I like the fact that, you know, it was aiming to have a certain sort of magic. It was supposed to have a certain kind of style and fantasy setting. So adding all this pop culture stuff kind of breaks that illusion. Not to say that the magic story was something spectacular or whatever, but the flavor text was always fun to read, at least for me, because I'm a dork. Now, video game card games are a totally different breed. There is a Xbox card game of sorts called Phantom Dust, which is actually free on Xbox, and I believe you can also get it for free on PC, the re-release of it. That is a very strange game. It's like a post-apocalyptic arena card battler thing. Very Japanese. It was surprising that actually got a Western release, but I'm glad it did, because it is one of the more oddball games on the original Xbox. Haven't played it since back then. Wouldn't mind trying it again on the, I guess, remaster, re-release, whatever. Haven't done it yet. There's a lot of free games you can get on the Xbox store, including this one, which, if you're interested in learning this game or just trying it out, I do recommend. Gotta say that in every video, because there's a chance someone will watch one video and learn that, and they'll be like, cool, I'll give this game a shot. But yeah, you can get Crackdown on Xbox for free. Crackdown 2's free, this game's free, Phantom Dust is free. A few others I'm probably forgetting. Hex in HD. Here's the loop, folks. I think throwing the ball at first is the best thing to do to try to get him stuck. This is easier on boss rush because we can just set up in position for the brow. Not so much here, but maybe throwing the ball to start may be a way to make it a bit more consistent. You just don't want the brow flying. That's really the only thing that I'd like to, it would be nice to figure out, but even so, it's way less RNG than it used to be. Oh yeah, card games. Back to card games. So, the best video game, card game I've played that is not based off of, an already existing property. So Magic doesn't count because it's just Magic. Is Metal Gear Acid 2. That's definitely a forgotten Metal Gear game. And in that game, it's sort of like a tactical RPG, but you build your deck as your way to move around the levels, act in the levels, all that stuff. You could play Acid 1 first, and if you're a real card game fiend, go for it. But if you're just casually interested, you can skip Acid 1. Trust me, it's not worth it. So a little bit of an off spin because you want to get that jet in the spin, but it's not a big deal. It's all good. Yeah, Metal Gear Acid 1, it's okay, but does not hold a candle to Acid 2. The story in Acid 1 is an absolute mess. Not to say like the story in Acid 2 is amazing, but it's much better than the first game. The first game's story, don't throw that ball, by the way. Hold on to it and get past the jet. The story in Acid 1 is a total mess, and the story in Acid 2 is competent, which makes a big difference. And the structure of the game is a lot faster than Acid 1, which is good because it's a PSP game. Also looks better. I mean, some people don't like the cel-shaded look, but I do. I'm not one of those people who are like, oh my gosh, Wind Waker. Oh no. Zelda Wind Waker. It's cel-shaded. That was a reaction to some people, from some people when that game launched. And I think that's why Twilight Princess is so moody, edgy. Nintendo actually listened to the people playing their games, like, can you please give us a game that's dark and edgy and more realistically graphicalated. That's a word now. Totally fine White Mamba fight. Ideally you come into that fight with full HP, but you don't need to. But the more you spin, the better. Since I haven't really figured out a way to loop White Mamba. It doesn't help that she has like she has an attack that she drops her palm on the ground and it's like an AoE kind of thing, I think. And the dash, which can go in various directions. But who knows? Maybe I've overlooked something with how to approach that fight to make it function. So yeah, Metal Gear Acid 2, worth playing. Definitely worth playing. Maybe they will re-release it with Legacy Volume 2, but that remains to be seen. That's a game that actually deserves to not be stuck on a platform. Especially if they actually added some quality of life improvements to both Acid 1 and Acid 2. But I am not holding my breath on that. Not holding my breath. Going back to, like, IRL card games, poker is a decent game in the sense that it's both a psychological game and a counting game. I mean, it's still very random, but poker, I think, is maybe underrated by video gamers. Of course, it's mostly for people who love gambling, which I am not a gambler. Or at least the gambling I do is in virtual reality. And I'm not talking about those goggles. Ain't talking about those goggles. We never... At one point, when you said virtual reality, you really just meant basically video games, because VR was just not a thing 15 years ago. Unless you're talking about some giant setup or a Virtual Boy. Virtual Boy does not have a card game, unfortunately. At least not one that I'm aware of. I don't really know what kind of card game you'd play on the Virtual Boy, though. Spin to win. That's how you handle this elevator, folks. Boosh. Getting burned way too much. It's very annoying when you get burned. Which is true IRL as well. I realized, hey, I should just spin. This is exactly what I'm talking about, where not having strength can just be a chore. Playing cardless, it's mostly just annoying. I'm not a big fan of this category. I mean, I did it because I can, but frankly, I don't think this category has too much of a reason to exist. Style points. That is actually LeBron James, if anyone's wondering. But it's from the movie, and they just like put a filter on it. Fortunately, the charge ball on the ground slam did not connect. That's okay. I actually did pretty good with the loop, which was a nice thing to have happen at the end of this level, because it was not the best level, frankly. You can definitely get a sub 17 in this run, but whatever. My previous record was an 1809, which beat the previous record by 4 minutes, so there you go. The other thing is that the RNG factor on this boss is way worse, since you do not have the strength card to do skips of algae rhythm attacks. So not only is this category just kind of like, okay, whatever, I can't do as much, it's way more random by extension, because even if you have good luck, I mean, it's good in the context of this category, but you don't just immediately go to the wave clear part of this boss. Instead, you're stuck hoping that you get good luck. So this game already has plenty of luck involved. It's not horrible, but it's enough for me, personally. But that's all good. Sometimes you just do runs not because you're a huge fan of them, but because it's a category on the board and you want to sweep it. Anywho, what was I talking about? Right, poker and gambling. When I was a kid, I way preferred blackjack, though. I think it's because it's very math-based. I think it's a bit... It's more fun as a kid, because I don't think the psychology of it is quite as intense as it is in poker. Of course, when you're talking about poker, there's like so many different versions of poker. Most of the time when I played poker, it was Texas Hold'em. I think that's most people play Texas Hold'em. If I had the HP, I would have spun there, but unfortunately we're going to just go for this kind of messy strategy. It'd be better to charge the ball and throw it diagonally rather than going for jump kicks, but hey, it's all good. Or just take a death to get your spins going. It's just that you really don't want to die on the final boss. No one wants to do that, especially on the final phase. And there we go. No cards, but we did talk about cards. Many cards discussed during this run, and some of them were the cards in this game. If you were listening closely enough, you will have noticed some cards in the game were discussed. Primarily the greed card. 1713 IGT. Not bad. Sub 17 is absolutely possible in this category. I will say though that Cardless co-op is more interesting. You already do so much damage in co-op that the cards don't matter as much. It appears that co-op does not balance per character outside of the bosses, at least from what I could tell. If you'd like to learn this game as a speedrun, I have some notes down below to help you get started. Of course, this game really isn't too complicated. It's mostly about memorizing the various fights in terms of the positioning of enemies and so on. But hey, everyone has to get started somewhere. The one thing I don't like about this game, though, as a speed game, is we can't really practice the levels individually. You kind of just need to play the game. Thankfully, the game's short enough that it's not too bad to do so. Thank you for watching this run. Really appreciate it.